Let me ask you something uncomfortable. When was the last time you felt truly solid inside, not motivated, not excited, not temporarily inspired, but stable, calm under pressure, clear in your decisions, unshaken by small chaos? If you hesitate to answer, that already tells a story, because most people today are not broken in obvious ways. They are breaking quietly. They wake up tired, even after sleeping. They feel overwhelmed by things that shouldn't matter. They react emotionally to situations that don't deserve control over their mind. And they don't know why. They assume it's stress. They blame work, relationships, the world, the economy, social media. But the truth is deeper. You are not exhausted because life is too hard. You are exhausted because you were never trained for difficulty. Modern life teaches you to avoid discomfort at all costs, to escape boredom, to numb pain, to seek validation, to react emotionally and call it authenticity. And slowly, without noticing, this rewires you. You become sensitive where you should be solid, reactive where you should be deliberate, dependent where you should be self-governed. Pressure doesn't strengthen you anymore. It drains you. Criticism doesn't sharpen you. It destabilizes you. Uncertainty doesn't challenge you. It paralyzes you. And here's the part almost no one wants to admit. This is not weakness by nature. This is weakness by conditioning. You were taught to expect comfort. You were taught to expect fairness. You were taught to expect understanding. But the world does not operate on those rules. Reality applies pressure without asking permission. And when a mind has never been trained to carry pressure, it collapses under it. This is why so many people feel stuck, anxious, emotionally drained, and quietly resentful. They are not failing at life. They are failing at mental resilience. The ancient Stoics understood this with brutal clarity. They lived in a world of war, disease, exile, political betrayal, and sudden death. There was no illusion of safety, yet their writings are calm, measured, controlled. Not because they were emotionless, but because they refused to be ruled by emotion. They did not ask life to be easier. They prepared themselves to be stronger. And this created a line, an invisible line that still exists today. On one side are people who crumble when life applies pressure. On the other are people who become sharper, calmer, and more grounded because of it. This line has nothing to do with intelligence, nothing to do with talent, nothing to do with privilege. It is entirely internal. Weakness is not crying. Weakness is not feeling pain. Weakness is not struggling. Weakness is being controlled by every impulse, emotion, and external event. Weakness is needing comfort to function. Weakness is needing approval to feel worthy. Weakness is expecting life to protect you. And here is the most dangerous part. Most people never realize they are on the weak side of the line. They normalize their anxiety. They justify their lack of discipline. They call emotional reactivity being human. But ancient wisdom saw it differently. The Stoics believed that the greatest threat to a human being is not hardship, but the absence of inner structure. Without structure, emotion dominates. Without structure, fear decides. Without structure, life happens to you, not through you. This is why small inconveniences feel unbearable, why criticism feels personal, why setbacks feel catastrophic. It's not the size of the problem. It's the fragility of the internal system facing it. And here is the uncomfortable mirror. If your peace is easily disturbed, if your mood is easily controlled, if your discipline depends on motivation, then your mind is not leading your life. Something else is. The Stoics were obsessed with one question. How do you build a mind that remains unbroken no matter what happens? Not happy all the time, not positive all the time, but unshakable. A mind that does not beg reality to change. A mind that adapts, absorbs, and endures. Because once you build that kind of mind, everything changes. Criticism loses its power. Chaos loses its grip. Fear loses its authority. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What does this require from me?" That shift alone separates you from most of the world. This video is not here to comfort you. It is here to clarify something most people avoid seeing. Life is not getting softer. The world is not becoming more forgiving. Pressure is not going away. The only variable is whether you become stronger or weaker in response. And once you understand the Stoic rules that separate the weak from the unbreakable, you cannot unknow them. You start seeing where you leak energy, where you give control away, where you have been trained to collapse instead of stand. From this point forward, we will break down exactly why most people break, how this weakness is learned, and the Stoic laws that forge a mind capable of carrying any weight. This is not about domination, it's about self-mastery, and it begins here. Once you see the problem, the next question is unavoidable. Why do so many people collapse under pressure today, while others remain calm, focused, and grounded? Why does the same challenge destroy one person and sharpen another? The answer is not personality, it's not intelligence, it's not even trauma alone. It's conditioning. Most people were never trained to deal with reality. They were trained to avoid discomfort, outsource responsibility, and seek approval. From an early age, the message is subtle but constant. If you're uncomfortable, escape. If you're bored, distract yourself. If you're criticized, take it personally. If something is hard, maybe it's not meant for you. This creates a dangerous mental habit. Instead of learning how to regulate emotion, people learn how to suppress, vent, or externalize it. Instead of learning how to endure difficulty, they learn how to complain about it. Instead of learning how to govern themselves, they learn how to wait for conditions to improve. And this works until it doesn't. Because life does not negotiate. Pressure arrives without warning. Loss does not ask permission. Chaos does not check your emotional readiness. And when a person who has been trained for comfort meets real pressure, the system fails. Not loudly, quietly. They lose focus, they overthink, they procrastinate, they spiral emotionally. They don't collapse because they are weak people. They collapse because their mind was never trained to carry weight. The Stoics saw this pattern centuries ago. Epictetus, who began life as a slave, understood something most free people never learn. If your emotional state depends on external events, you are never free. Modern conditioning does the opposite. It teaches people to tie their inner stability to things they cannot control. Other people's opinions, outcomes, recognition, comfort, certainty. This is the trap. When approval becomes emotional currency, you start living in negotiation with the world. You edit yourself to be liked. You soften your standards to avoid conflict. You tolerate things you shouldn't because discomfort feels threatening. And slowly, you lose internal authority. You stop leading yourself. This is why so many people feel lost, even when their life looks fine from the outside. They don't trust their own judgment. They hesitate constantly. They second-guess decisions. They seek reassurance instead of clarity. Their mind is no longer a command center. It's a reaction chamber. Another layer of the trap is emotional indulgence. Modern culture often confuses emotional expression with emotional mastery. Feeling everything intensely is praised. Reacting instantly is normalized. Self-control is mislabeled as repression, but the Stoics were precise about this. Emotion itself is not the enemy. Lack of regulation is. A person who cannot pause between stimulus and response will always be ruled by whatever hits them last. Anger controls their words. Fear controls their choices. Pleasure controls their habits. And a life run by impulse never becomes strong. It becomes scattered. The Stoics understood that untrained emotion is not authenticity, it's vulnerability. That's why they emphasize discipline, structure, and internal order. Not to become cold, but to become reliable under pressure. Another reason people break is expectation. Modern minds expect life to be fair, comfortable, and validating. When reality violates that expectation, resentment forms. This shouldn't be happening. I don't deserve this. This isn't fair. But resentment does not protect you. It weakens you. Marcus Aurelius wrote repeatedly about this exact trap, not because he lived an easy life, but because he lived a brutally unstable one. Plagues, war, political betrayal, constant threat, and yet his writings are calm. Why? Because he expected difficulty. Expectation is a form of preparation. When you expect life to be smooth, every obstacle feels like an injustice. When you expect life to be challenging, obstacles feel like terrain, and terrain can be navigated. This difference alone determines who breaks and who adapts. Another silent reason people collapse is identity fragility. When you build your identity around outcome, success, status, praise, productivity, every setback becomes an existential threat. You don't just fail, you are a failure. You don't just lose approval, you lose worth. The Stoics warned against this. They believed identity must be rooted in character, not circumstance, because character travels with you everywhere. Circumstances do not. A person anchored in character can lose money, reputation, comfort, even position, and still remain intact. A person anchored in outcomes collapses when outcomes shift, and outcomes always shift. The final part of the trap is avoidance. Avoidance feels safe. It feels rational. I'll deal with it later. I'm not ready yet. Now is not the right time. But avoidance compounds. What you avoid today becomes heavier tomorrow. Emotions grow stronger when ignored. Fear becomes larger when unchallenged. Weakness deepens when protected. The Stoics understood something modern minds forget. The pain you avoid does not disappear. It waits. And when it returns with interest. This is why Stoicism is not gentle philosophy. It is practical survival psychology. It does not promise comfort. It promises resilience. It does not remove hardship. It prepares you to carry it. And once you understand this trap, something shifts. You stop blaming yourself. You stop labeling yourself as broken. You realize this was learned. And what is learned can be unlearned. But before rebuilding strength, one final mental illusion must be dismantled, because the very behaviors people believe make them good, kind, and moral are often the same behaviors that drain their life force. That paradox is where everything turns, and that is exactly where we go next. This is where most people sabotage everything. They hear about detachment and think it means becoming cold. They hear about Stoicism and imagine emotional shutdown. They hear stop caring and translate it as stop feeling. That misunderstanding destroys the entire philosophy. Stoicism is not emotional death. It is emotional sovereignty. There is a massive difference. Coldness is avoidance. Detachment is discernment. Indifference is numbness. Stoicism is clarity. The Stoics did not suppress emotion. They trained their relationship with it. They understood that emotions are information, not commands. Anger signals injustice. Fear signals uncertainty. Sadness signals loss. But information is not authority. Modern life teaches the opposite. It tells you that feelings are facts, that reactions are truth, that discomfort must be eliminated immediately. Stoicism says, feel everything. Obey nothing blindly. The right kind of detachment begins with one decision. You stop outsourcing your inner stability. You no longer need circumstances to cooperate in order to remain composed. You no longer need people to behave correctly in order to act correctly yourself. You no longer need life to be gentle in order to remain grounded. This does not make you harsh, it makes you anchored. Marcus Aurelius was not admired because he was unemotional. He was admired because he was steady. In chaos, he did not escalate. In praise, he did not inflate. In loss, he did not collapse. That steadiness is the result of disciplined detachment. Here's what healthy detachment looks like in practice. You still care, but you do not cling. You still love, but you do not possess. You still strive, but you do not attach your identity to success. You still engage, but you do not beg for outcomes. This is where strength lives. Most people exhaust themselves by negotiating internally. They replay conversations, they rehearse explanations, they justify boundaries, they apologize for existing. Stoicism removes that inner noise, not because you become insensitive, but because you stop defending your worth. You no longer explain what does not require explanation. You no longer chase closure from people incapable of giving it. You no longer sacrifice peace to prove character. This kind of detachment feels uncomfortable at first, because you are breaking an addiction, the addiction to being liked, the addiction to being understood, the addiction to being validated. Those addictions feel virtuous, but they are not. They are survival strategies learned early. Stoicism teaches adulthood. Adulthood is accepting that not everyone will understand you, not everyone will approve, not everyone will stay, and none of that invalidates your values. The emotionally attached person says, if they leave, something must be wrong with me. The Stoic says, if they leave, that is information. I remain intact. This is not arrogance. It is psychological independence. Here is the critical line Stoicism draws. You are responsible for your actions. You are not responsible for other people's reactions. Once you internalize this, your nervous system calms. You stop bracing constantly. You stop scanning rooms for approval. You stop shaping yourself to avoid friction. And paradoxically, people respond to you with more respect. Why? Because stability is rare. A person who is not desperate for approval feels safe to be around. A person who does not overreact feels trustworthy. A person who does not emotionally collapse feels competent. Stoicism does not make you distant, it makes you reliable. But here is the line that must never be crossed. Detachment is not disengagement from values. Stoics care deeply about justice, about integrity, about responsibility. They simply refuse to let chaos dictate behavior. They did not say, nothing matters. They said, only the right things matter. This distinction saves the philosophy from nihilism. You still stand for what is right. You still protect what is meaningful. You still invest where it matters. You just stop bleeding energy into everything else. You stop explaining yourself to people who are not listening. You stop arguing with reality. You stop fighting outcomes. This is not surrender. This is efficiency. Every warrior knows that uncontrolled emotion destroys precision. Every leader knows that volatility erodes trust. Every individual who wants power must first master emotional economy. Stoicism is emotional minimalism. Less waste, more direction. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Many people fear detachment because they confuse chaos with passion. They believe that intensity equals depth. It does not. Depth comes from alignment, not volatility. The Stoic is not less alive. The Stoic is less scattered. This is why Stoicism produces calm confidence, not performative confidence. Confidence that does not announce itself. Confidence that does not need applause. Confidence that does not collapse under pressure. And when you live like this, something subtle but profound happens. You stop asking life to be fair. You stop demanding certainty. You stop negotiating your boundaries. You move quietly, deliberately, and with internal coherence. You become harder to manipulate, harder to provoke, harder to exhaust. This is the right kind of detachment, not cold, not distant, not indifferent, but internally sovereign. And now there is one final integration left, because understanding Stoicism intellectually is not enough. It must be embodied, and that embodiment changes how you walk through life, how you respond to pressure, and how you define success. That final integration is what completes the transformation. That is where we go next. At this point, you've probably realized something uncomfortable. The Stoic rules are not difficult to understand, they are difficult to live, and that is exactly why they separate the weak from the unbreakable. Weakness is not a lack of intelligence, it is a lack of internal order. Most people fail not because life is too hard, but because their inner world is chaotic. They react before thinking. They attach before choosing. They chase approval instead of building character. They demand fairness instead of developing strength. They avoid discomfort instead of training for it. Stoicism cuts through all of that, not with comfort, with clarity. The Stoic does not ask, "How do I feel about this?" He asks, "What is required of me right now?" That single shift changes everything, because life does not reward emotional intensity. It rewards consistency. It does not reward sensitivity to every slight. It rewards resilience. It does not reward constant self-expression. It rewards self-mastery. The Stoics understood that the world is unstable by nature. Empires rise and fall. Relationships change. Health fades. Status disappears. Certainty collapses. Trying to anchor your peace in those things is a guaranteed way to suffer. So they built their identity elsewhere, not in outcomes, not in recognition, not in comfort, but in conduct. How you speak when frustrated, how you act when disappointed, how you move when tired, how you choose when afraid. That is where character is revealed, and character, once built, cannot be taken from you. This is why Stoicism does not promise happiness. It promises something better: stability. The ability to stand upright in chaos, the ability to act with dignity under pressure, the ability to move forward without needing permission, applause, or certainty. The unbreakable person is not loud. They are not dramatic. They are not constantly proving anything. They are internally aligned, and that alignment creates power. You stop wasting energy on outrage. You stop negotiating with fear. You stop reacting to every stimulus. You become deliberate, and deliberateness is rare. Most people live in reaction. They react to opinions. They react to emotions. They react to discomfort. They react to circumstances. The Stoic responds. That difference determines everything. Response creates direction. Reaction creates exhaustion. This is why Stoicism feels heavy at first, because it removes excuses. You can no longer blame the world. You can no longer hide behind emotion. You can no longer wait for motivation. You must become responsible, not for everything that happens, but for how you meet it. And responsibility, once accepted, becomes freedom. Because you stop feeling like a victim of life and start feeling like an agent within it. That is the quiet transformation, not a burst of inspiration, not a dramatic breakthrough, a steady reorganization of the self, where you place your attention, where you invest your energy, what you tolerate, what you refuse, what you practice daily. The Stoics did not become unbreakable overnight. They trained daily reflection, voluntary discomfort, emotional restraint, principled action. Over time, these practices rewired their nervous system. Life did not become easier. They became stronger, and that strength was internal. No one could take it away. No circumstance could strip it. No opinion could shake it. That is the kind of power modern life does not teach, because it cannot be monetized easily. It cannot be gamified. It cannot be displayed performatively. It must be built quietly, which is why so few do it. But if you are still here, listening to this, absorbing it, it means something in you recognizes this truth, not as an idea, as a necessity. You are tired of being reactive, tired of being emotionally drained, tired of feeling pulled in every direction. Stoicism is not an escape from life. It is a way to meet life without being broken by it. And this is where the integration becomes personal. Ask yourself, honestly, where am I giving energy to things I cannot control? Where am I mistaking emotion for truth? Where am I seeking approval instead of building alignment? Where am I avoiding discomfort that would actually strengthen me? You do not need to fix everything at once. Stoicism is not about radical overnight change. It is about daily calibration, one choice at a time, one response at a time, one moment of restraint, one moment of courage. That is how unbreakable people are made, quietly, consistently, deliberately. And now, before this ends, there is only one thing left to say. If this way of thinking resonated with you, if it clarified something you felt but couldn't name, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with one Stoic rule from this video that you know you need to apply in your life right now. Not for me, for your own awareness. Because awareness is always the first step toward mastery. This channel exists for people who are done with noise, done with empty motivation, and ready for something deeper. And if that's you, you're in the right place.